Hello everybody, it's Jackie with Jackie's Recent Things. Today I'm going to teach you how to make a no-sew gingerbread man. It's going to be super fun. So let me tell you what you need. You're going to need felt. You're going to need some crafter's foam. You're going to need buttons. You're going to need rickrack. You're going to need some ribbon. And then you're going to need some cardboard. What I did was I found a gingerbread man that I liked, and I just printed up the picture. And then to make the template, I traced around it and used cardboard to make my template. And then what I did was I drew my gingerbread man using permanent marker onto the felt. If you position it carefully, you'll be able to fit one, depending on the size of your felt. These that I purchased are from Walmart, and then they're felt sheets there. And then I cut them out. Oh, you'll also need polyfill. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, we don't want the black showing up, so you want to make sure that the two are going to face each other. But we're going to put the goodies on him first before we actually start putting him together. So we're going to start with the rickrack. Now what I would suggest that you do when you search out your gingerbread man, for those of you that aren't artistic, maybe pick one that you really like and you can just mimic. So you can like leave it laying there to put the pieces on as you go. So I chose rickrack to kind of make the egg icing, to make this go super fast and super quick. So I'm just going to use, and my hot glue gun's on low. That way I don't burn my fingers pressing this down. Hot glue works really well with felt. You can also use the crafter's foam to do this as well if you want to. I just chose to use the felt because I was able to find the felt in what I call would be more of a cookie color. I wasn't able to find a foam that I liked. Now you can make this either into a boy or a girl. Or both. Okay, so now I'm going to add the buttons. I don't like putting my scissors through sticky stuff, y'all. So I wasn't able to find like a good, so I had to get a variety pack, so I'm just going to dump these out so I can select my buttons. For my project. And it doesn't really matter if they match. You know, this is kind of customize it to however you want. I, however, am hoping that I'll find some that match. And doesn't look like that's going to happen because I want red, and there's different colors of pinks and whatnot mixed in. So I'm going to go with the larger buttons for the buttons that I picked out. And they're pretty big, but that's okay. I think it'll just add a little bit of charm to it. And that'll be fine. So I'm kind of going to go sit those there. I'm not ready to put them on just yet. And then I got some more buttons for the eyes. I hope that y'all have better luck finding, instead of having to dig through packages like I am. I hope that y'all will have better luck finding the right size buttons and stuff that you want. There we go. Uh-oh. Oh, don't dump. My husband also, when he picked those up from, he got these. These are little sparkly gems. And it was kind of cool that he thought about that because this reminded him of gumdrops. So you might be able to use sparkly gems, these sparkly gems too, to look like gumdrops. But I'm going to put the eyes right there. Now, I'm not ready to glue anything in yet. Because I want to get everything set so it looks good first. So now I'm going to make the bow tie, and I chose to do it out of black, and it doesn't have to be very big. I'm using my cutting mat I'm cutting it about 2 inches thick. And that's going to be a little bit wide, so we're going to cut it straight like that, and that'll be better. So what we're going to do for our bow tie with the foam, and I'm going to pinch this down pretty good because, you know, we don't want it to be too big. And I'm going to fold it back and forth, just like we did when we were in school and we were trying to make a fan. And at the little folds, just going to dab in hot glue to hold it. And then we're going to flip it over, and we'll do the same thing on the other side. Just put a little hot glue. Then to finish the tie, I'm going to wrap just a little bit of foam around it to kind of polish it up. Just like that. And then you have a cute little bow tie. And of course, you can make that any color that you want to. You can actually buy little bows readily made also at Walmart. Whatever you want to do. These buttons are just going to be too big, y'all. That just bothers me. So we're going to go with these. And that's just a little buggy looking, isn't it? See, that's why I'm not gluing anything in till I get it set right and looking right the way that I want. Okay. So now I'm happier with the buttons and the eyes, but I want to add the mouth. And I'm just going to use yarn to do that. Make sure that your yarn is twisted down. And then if you might want to, you can draw your little smile on. If that makes you feel better, just take a pencil and just draw your little smile on so that you can follow along that with your hot glue gun. And the pencil will draw on the felt. So low temp as always. I'm going to go slowly along that line. And make me a smiling gingerbread man. Now I went a little bit high with the yarn on the twist because it does come untwisted, so I wanted it to look consistent. And I'll cut that off as soon as it cools down. While I'm waiting for that to cool down, we'll kind of place the tie. And then the buttons. Now, if the buttons were a little bit bigger, I probably would have just done 2, but since they're kind of small, that's why I'm doing 3. So let me get this out of the way, and I'm going to cut this. And I'm going to cut the start point. And now let's put our little blue eyes on. Now, if you want to, you're more than welcome to go back and put a few stitches in the buttons to make sure that they don't come out. That's up to you. Okay. So now we have the face of our little gingerbread man. Now the reason I did this first is because it's easier to work on a flat surface than after we stuff him. So now we're going to work on putting him together. So what we're going to do, always make sure, like I said, make sure your dark prints or dark marks are together, because you don't want them to be seen. Get your two pieces together as much as possible. And then you're going to want to be really, really careful. And you're going to want to make a small line. Be careful, you don't want the hot glue oozing out. So just take your time. This is your stitch. And just slowly and carefully go around the outer edge. And you can just do a little bit at a time. Just make sure that you're leaving no holes, because you don't want the stuffing coming out. Now normally I like swipe my glue gun on this. Please be careful with your glue. Always come off your project. Don't come across your project this way. Come off your project down so that you don't put glue across your felt and then you end up with a seam you don't want and can't get past. I hope that makes sense. I'll show you again. So be careful. Don't come across your project this way with your hot glue gun. Always come off this way. Go directly where you want the glue. And then come down and off. Because we don't want the middle of the body sticking together, do we? Nope. Okay, so I'm going to stop right here at this part of the head, and I'm going to pick up over here. Don't forget, we got to leave room for stuffing. Please, please, please don't forget that you're going to have to leave room for stuffing. I'm actually going to start down here and come back up this way, and I'll stop right there. And I'm going to flip this over to do it because it's just easy. Well, it would be easier for me to work that way. So I'm kind of going to go backwards just because of the way I work. And I'll go this way. Now, if for some reason when you're doing this, you end up with an abundance of excess overage, like everything's not matching up, just go back and do a little trimming with your scissors. It's really not that big of a deal. Because see, like here, I have a little bit of excess. I'll show you what I mean right now. I have a little bit of excess. We don't want that. So I'm just going to take my scissors and trim along. Even though realistically the backside is not going to be seen once I put it in a wreath. But just in case, that's all you have to do is just go back and trim it off, okay? So don't stress over that. All right. So let's continue on. Leave yourself enough room to be able to stuff your little guy. And see, you're going to have glue hanging out. Go ahead and get it. Pull it out. Not a big deal, y'all. Alright, so now we're going to take the polyfill. When you use polyfill, in case you didn't know, don't just pull it out in a big thing and stick it. You kind of have to rip it apart so it's stuffed evenly. So I'm going to pull a handful up, but you need to pull it apart so it stuffs evenly. That way it doesn't end up in chunks. So you kind of just need to pull it apart. And then stuff it in. Whether you're using hot glue or you sew this, you cannot get forceful on your seams. You will bust them. So just be careful. So the first thing you want to do, take your finger and go down in there. Stuff the little feeties up. And while you're doing that, check. I've got little places that are coming apart. So we'll just fix that real quick. I might have went too far with my hot glue, and what happened was it cooled down too fast, y'all. So just be careful and don't do that. And if you wanted to ensure that you didn't do that, I prefer low so I don't burn my fingers, but you could actually go high temp just so it will take longer to cool down. Just be careful and don't burn yourself. I always think that it's good when I do these and mistakes happen. I think it's perfect for me to show you I'm not perfect and anything can be fixed. and that it's okay. Alright, so I'm going to take my stick and just go ahead and move the stuffing around. And then we're going to put it in the arms. Of course, sewing these little things is actually the most ideal, but not everybody's got a sewing machine. Not everybody's got the patience to sew. And that's okay. So I'm going to work it. Got to get that other little arm. It's not stuffed yet, y'all. Okay. So now we're just about done with the stuffing, and then we're going to close the little head up. Make sure that you what you want to do is kind of like overstuff. Feel like you've overstuffed the head a little bit and push it down. And then you're just going to kind of work it back up after you seal the head. So I'm pushing that down just a little bit further. And now I'm going to seal the head up. So I'm going to run a little bead of glue here. And smush it together. This is why I use low temp, because I literally doing this have hot glue all over my hands. And it doesn't burn my fingers like high temp would. I'm going to come back over here and fix his little mouth. The yarn came up. Well, it didn't come up. It kind of unraveled a little bit. So I'm just going to take a little hot glue and put it back down. And I think I got an idea. Sometimes ideas come to you. I think what I'm going to do to just stop that totally, I'm going to take a little button and I'm just going to put it as a little cheek. How about that? Just like that at the end of the smile. And then that'll totally stop that. Problem solved, folks. And it makes it even cuter. There we go. Okay. So now that we've done that, the last thing I wanted to do is you kind of have these edges that you might want to cover up. Okay? Which is fine. So that's what the ribbon is for. But first, let's just go around, double check. Make sure that all our seams are good. We got a little one popped out there, so we'll fix it. Okay. I actually found out I have an abundance of this ribbon. So that's why, you know, plus it's a gingerbread, it's cute. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut that straight. And I'm going to fold this over like you would a seam. So it's got a nice clean edge to it. And I would start in a discrete spot. I wouldn't start here. I wouldn't start here. I would start more at the side because nobody's going to notice it, or maybe at the leg. Whatever, but you know, just be careful where you start with this because it's going to have to overlap somewhere. And I'm going to put a little bit of glue right here to start. And I'm going to kind of follow basically where I already put glue down around the foot. So I'm just going around the very, very edge. And this may not be a good idea. It's not. Okay, well, I have a better idea. Back up, retract. I didn't want to have to do this, but that's the way it's going to have to be. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. This is actually a little bit time consuming, but that's okay. We're going to pull the wire out. Well, now we're not going to pull it out. We're going to gather it. So you kind of got to push the wire up, and we're going to make a pleat. That way it looks better going around. Like so. We're going to pleat it up because that'll look better than what was going on. I didn't really want to do that, but that's okay, y'all. I'd rather it look good. And I wasn't that far along, so I'm going to pull from the other side and push it down because I don't want to break my wire. And I have found that starting it and then pushing it down from the other side is the best way to not break your wire. Because if you break your wire, it's kind of like oh my gosh. So it's better if you just kind of slide it down from the opposite side to do this. So it doesn't really need to be that much of a gather. Just enough it doesn't look bad as it goes around little bends. I might have to cut some more ribbon off, but that's okay. Because with it ruffled up, you're not really going to see the connection points. So what I'm doing, I'm just trying to get kind of like a consistent ruffle going on here. I'm not trying to make it too tight. Now, if this was going to be a lady, I would, to make her tutu, to make her little skirt, you can do the same thing with 4-inch ribbon. Probably in this case, just 2-inch ribbon to make the little skirt so you can have the female. All right. I'm going to take the wire. I don't want to cut it, but I don't want this coming undone, so I'm going to put a pretty good knot. And we're just going to start gluing. So I'm doing this to kind of cover up the cut edge. You can also just do this with simple cording. You could do it with the rickrack, go around the edge with the rickrack. I just kind of wanted the country look for the gingerbread. So that's kind of why I thought of doing it like this. And plus adds a little bit more size to him. A little bit of the country charm. You know, this is just an extra idea. A little bit extra to the tutorial. See, I think that's making that cute, y'all. That's just me. I think it's adding that extra little cutesiness. So you can do whatever you want to do. You can put beading. You don't have to do anything. It's all up to you. You could also use bias tape to go around the edge. But I would recommend, if you're not wanting to go this far, I would recommend cording. Because it's round, super easy to use. It's just really easy to work with. And I could have done cording, but just kind of had this in my head. It's a kind of country it up a bit, y'all. And then if you wanted to, you could put this on first to hide your seam if you wanted to. It'd probably be easier because then it's flat. Just remember, y'all, it's not what gets you there, it's the end result that matters most. And you may not be able to do it just like me or want to do it just like me. That's why I try to give you a bunch of different other suggestions on ways to do it so that you're not limited by just what you see me doing, and to hopefully spark your own imagination for what you could possibly do. One of these days I'm going to bust out laughing, y'all. My husband's trying to tiptoe by while I'm recording. Okay, so now that we're back at the beginning, I'm going to cut that off, and then I'm going to fold that. Now, the last thing I'm going to do, and I wanted to wait till he was on here because it's just easier, is I'm going to pull that edge wire out. And the reason I'm going to do it is because it ruffles better without it. That edge wire kind of gets in the way. So I'm just going to pull it right out. And this you can actually cut as you go when you pull it out. And then see, it just ruffles better. It's not, see what the difference? It's not trying to bend. And then when you cut the wire, it just pokes right back through somewhere else. So depending on how easy or how simple you want to do this, it's up to you. If you want to just put the cording around the outside, no ruffle. I just kind of like doing the ruffle instead of the cording so that, you know, maybe my little gingerbread would stand out and be different than anything we could purchase at a store. So that would be my ultimate goal, is I just want my items to stand out a little bit more and be unique, you know, different than anything we can find at the stores. All right, there you have it. My little version of the no-sew gingerbread man. Ain't he cute? Ain't he super cute? I hope y'all enjoyed this one. It is a little bit longer than the ones that I did, but that's just because of the ruffle, and I wanted to show you, my idea, to give it a little bit of your own. And I wanted to show you how to do the ruffle too, because you can do the same thing, like I said, with 4-inch ribbon to make the little girl skirt. Thank y'all for joining me. Bye, y'all.